Connor, welcome, man.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad
Yeah,
to be
dude.
here.
Yeah, thank you for coming in and taking some time. So you met Joel, our CTO, and
Yeah,
Andrew, our
correct.
PM,
Yeah.
at one of the events here in Nashville.
Yeah, it was an engineering event set up by Zap. She does a lot with startups here in town, and basically 12 different startups all came and talked about what they did,
Nice.
what they were looking for, what they needed help with, and then afterwards we all got to ask them questions and talked and kind of networked together. It was really cool. There were over 100 engineers there, which was tight.
That's nuts.
And I think Haley was saying in her last email that 3 people already got jobs or connected to a company that needed them, which is really cool.
Dude, she has such good turnouts at those engineering events.
Yeah.
I think it's because there's it's been such an overlooked community when it comes to networking.
Yeah.
But really, dude, it's clear from those turnouts that it's a needed thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good talent here in Nashville.
Yeah, and it's I think, DevOps and, the guys that are actually doing the coding and creating the product, oftentimes, correct me if I'm wrong based on your experience, they don't get looked at as part of the culture and organization.
Yeah.
Which I think is wrong, right?
Yeah, I hear that.
It's but these networking events can help solve that.
Yeah.
Where it's you get to meet the CTO and other developers, and you're like, oh, these guys, I like these guys. Let me go learn about their product.
Yeah.
See if I could or want to be a fit, right?
Yeah,
and then it kind
absolutely.
of brings you into the team, creates the culture.
Yeah, especially I think on the ground level, engineers get left out of the picture a lot. And so it was very cool to get to meet all these people. And I lucked out, actually. Before the event, I was kind of Googling and checking out all the different companies that were going to be there. And I saw your guys' app and what you guys were doing and wanted to get to talk to whoever you sent to the event. And I sat in this flimsy broken chair at first. And the chair almost broke. So I got up and went to go sit on this big comfy couch. And right as I was getting up, Joel and Andrew were both sitting down wearing their MyHome t-shirts. And I was like, yes.
Nice. Oh,
Perfect.
sweet, dude. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you got to, did Zap send out a preview?
Yeah, she told us which companies were going to be there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joel said it was a great event.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's awesome. So give us some background on you, man, because you got a pretty cool background. Let's just dig into where you're from. Are you from here?
Pretty much. I grew up in Clarksville. I've lived there longer than I've lived anywhere else.
Family military?
No, my dad just lived there, and I moved in with him when I was a teenager. So,
nice.
Yeah. And so pretty much from here in Nashville, where I consider it.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of kin down in North Carolina. So I go there a lot.
Where at?
Charlotte.
I was born in Charlotte.
Oh, cool. Actually, since you're from Charlotte, a smaller podunk town outside of Charlotte called Albemarle.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was a baby when we moved, and I spent my whole childhood in Raleigh.
Gotcha.
But, I also spent some time in the Army at Fort Jackson, Columbia,
cool.
South Carolina, so it's 45 minutes outside Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you go to get fireworks when you live in Charlotte.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Go down across the border.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Clarksville's basically Nashville.
Yeah.
It's Middle Tennessee.
Yeah,
So
Middle
you're
Tennessee.
a unicorn for sure.
Yeah.
When did you move to Nashville? Assuming you live in Nashville.
No, I still live in Clarksville, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I own a home down in Clarksville.
Nice. Where at?
Right off of Madison Street over in Sango by Coy Lacey Park behind Barksdale.
Yeah, dude. We have a rental house off of exit 19.
Okay, yeah.
It's Sango Mills neighborhood.
Yeah. Cool.
You know the Thirsty Goat?
Yeah.
If you pass that on the left,
Yeah.
keep going probably about a mile, you go down that big hill.
Yeah.
There's a turn in the neighborhood. That's the neighborhood we have a house.
Cool. Very cool.
We love that area, dude.
It's a great part of town.
Yeah, we moved there in 2019, but we had our other business. I was just traveling to Nashville too much. I was like, dude, this is horrible. So we moved up to Nashville. So, but we kept the house.
Yeah.
It was brand new. It was awesome.
Yeah, the real estate market was really awesome down there too when we bought
Yeah, dude. So when did you buy down there?
2021.
Or up there, I guess.
2021. Yeah, right before the market went up.
Yeah.
Got in right at the perfect time.
Nice.
I think we got a 2.25% interest rate.
Yeah,
So-
can't say no to that.
Yeah, right.
That's why we kept ours. Just
Yeah.
we bought in 2020, so the prices were low and our interest rate was stupid low.
Yeah.
So we're all right. But cool, dude. So what's your current role? What are you doing now?
Right now, I've been working on a contract for Nashville Sites. They do, if you around town on historical buildings, they have the little QR codes, they have Nashville Sites on it.
Yep.
It's owned by the Nashville Historical Commission. And basically, when you scan the QR code, it'll tell you all about that historical site and then ask you if you want to go on a walking tour. It's this site is part of all these different tours that you could be on in Nashville. And then if you opt yes, it'll pop up a little map and give you like a GPS tour of historical sites in your area.
Oh, that's so cool, dude.
Yeah, it's been a real fun project.
Yeah, how long have you been doing that?
Since last November.
And what are you working on specifically?
Specifically, I've been updating their user interface and user experience. The task I just finished up with, which I think the contract's kind of slowing down and coming to a close, or at least like a lull, I'll say. But the main problem I just solved was that we were finding when people would scan the QR code, it would pop up about the site and they want to go on the tour. The very first page of that tour has audio, and if you click the start tour button, it would take you to the next page, and people were missing to play the audio on the first page. And so we were trying to figure out how to make sure that they don't miss that first page's audio, because it can be kind of confusing otherwise. And the solution we came up with was to, on the button that you click the start the tour, instead of that taking you to the next page, it starts the audio.
Plays the audio.
Originally, you had to click the play button on the audio player, but now the start tour button starts the audio and then changes that button to go to first stop. And so I created like a state machine to handle those buttons and whether that button should be played or whether they should go to the next stop, to make sure that the user wasn't going to the next stop without hearing the audio from the intro of the tour first.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because that would ruin the entire tour.
Right, exactly. And we were finding that even though there's a giant play button at the bottom of your phone screen, that people just were like absolutely missing it and clicking the button on the top of the screen that goes to the first stop.
Dude, that is UI UX 100%, right?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that we're terrified of.
Oh, cool.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you never know.
Yeah.
You would think designing that, you're like, there's no way people are missing this.
Right,
And then people are missing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's cool. So,
yeah, that's kind of where my brain thrives. I like to live in that world. Like, how is this useful? Are we going to miss this button? Is this going to work well? You know, is our user going to enjoy using it this way?
Are you usually surprised when you put something out and you get real feedback from the user? Is it usually a surprise, like, oh, wow, they're missing that button? Or is it usually like pretty spot on with what you do?
It goes back and forth. This one I was definitely surprised because it's like a giant play button at the bottom of the screen. You know? But the important buttons for starting the tour were all at the top, so it was like
that was
easy to miss. Yeah.
So for layman's terms, let's explain UI UX in like the most basic form, in case people are listening to this that have zero software development app experience.
Yeah. UI and UX stands for user interface and user experience. So it's like everything from what a web app looks like when you get onto the page, like onto the home page of an application, and then it goes into like the user's experience in navigating that website and using it, like where buttons are, where drop-down menus are, like kind of what's the most intuitive way for someone to get onto your website and understand how to use it, like off the rip. You know, it's like there's like a super high turnover on websites. It's like somebody gets confused on your website, they're just going to leave.
They're gone.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like kind of encompassing A, what does it look like, and then B, how does it function in a way that makes it intuitive for users to.
Everybody has experienced good UI UX, even if you didn't know you were experiencing good or bad UI UX.
Yeah.
The best way I can describe it is when you are on an app or a website and you have a thing in mind that you want to do on the website, and your first click is putting you to that thing. That's good UI UX, right?
Yeah.
And then the opposite is true, where you're like, where the is the thing I'm looking for, and then people give up.
Like, where's this button?
Right. Which in the app world is so important. Right. Because if they, 5 seconds, 10 seconds can't figure it out, they're probably gonna be gone.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Which is terrifying. Right. You got them to download it and try it. Yeah. And then your UI UX is what destroys
it's too difficult, and so they just left. Yeah.
God, there's so much that goes into that stuff, dude.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Just down to like color too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what people don't understand. Is like, it's color, it's the feel and look of it. Mm-hmm. I've never gone through so many apps and looked at UI UX until recently, where I'm like, oh wow, that's very cool. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're day to day in that stuff or paying attention to it.
Yeah, before I started software school, I didn't really even pay attention to it.
Right.
So then immediately it's like, okay, well now I need to do some market research. Like, what is a good user interface? Like, what is a good user experience?
So along those lines, what have you learned is like the biggest mistake companies make when it comes to the user experience or interface?
That's hard to say. I've both the companies I've worked with had really good designers.
Yeah.
And so I kind of came into a lane where their user interface was already nice. I think that I could say what they did well is that it was simple and it was easy to navigate, and anything that was important was like made very obvious,
Gotcha.
Like, so if like this button needs to be clicked, or like this, like say you have a form.
Yep.
And it's really important that they check this checkbox to finish the form. It's like, well, let's make that important. If they miss it, they try to click next. Let's have a pop-up that says, hey, you didn't check this box. Could you give us the information we need? Just
it's like bumpers.
Being as explicit as possible, like not making any assumptions. Like, don't assume that anyone knows anything about your app,
Yes. Which is tough because, as you know, developers, they sit in there developing for 8 months, 10 months, 12 months. Yeah. And they're like, this is easy to use. And then somebody looking at it for the first time, it's really hard to take off I know this like the back of my hand. Let me put on the other cap.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. Let's do a live test on ours.
Sure.
Honest to God truth and response on just our UI UX. So let me just get this set up. Let's do an experiment where you need to hire a handyman. Yeah, so let's see how well we've done.
Synthetic turf, pressure washing, carpet lawn. Let's see.
Put a timer on this. How long it takes.
All right, so
no pressure.
Yeah, okay, browse jobs. So we're looking for a handyman. Oop, there it is. Cool, handyman. This is pretty neat. So you got your job duration. That's like how long I think it's going to take.
Correct,
right?
Yep.
Cool, and then what are you looking for? We get to add some notes.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's pretty cool. And then you get images too. That's pretty cool. And then you have these providers down here. These are all clickable.
So that's what we need to fix. They're not clickable. So ideally what you would do.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is then, I'll let you figure it out. I won't give you any hints.
So, cool. So basically I take a picture or like fill out this job information. Then I can post the job to a board and they'll respond to me.
Yep. So you can post it. It's not live.
Cool.
And then
you enter all your address and stuff. Let's see.
I'm sure that's not working right now because it's just a test.
Cool. That's all right.
And then you
click address. Oh, here we go.
Oh, it is asking you to put in your address. Okay, cool.
Let's see. We'll just call it here. 475 Metroplex, right?
There you go.
This is actually something when I first started I struggled with a lot. It's like having to fill in forms that I was building, just like enter in the same data all day.
So this is where I think it's confusing. So it's in there, right?
Yeah.
And it might not know because this is a
and this is asking me information about the property.
Yeah.
In general. Cool.
And then try to hit post job. There you go.
Cool. You're posting a new job for handyman. Job review, contact acceptance.
And there
Sweet.
you go.
And then it's posted over here and let's see.
Right there.
Oh, nice.
So
right
we
here.
need this to show up a little bit more.
Your posted jobs. Got that. Cool.
And then the job, now what would normally happen is you'd get an offer right here.
Cool.
And you'd have a message pop up right there in that screen. You click on it and you can accept the job.
Cool.
There. So what do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
How's the experience? I mean, you figured it out fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So that's great news.
I'm leaning too far forward. Yeah, I think you guys have a good thing going.
Okay, cool.
The most confusing part was when it jumped back to where to find my posted jobs, because that was just like on the homepage. Maybe if you had like a My Jobs button or something like that. Also, like I think it's good to have it on the homepage so you can like log in and see right there. But I think having like a dedicated spot that I could be like, if I'm looking for my jobs and I don't see it on the homepage, I can like click My Jobs.
That's a good point.
You know.
Let me see if we even have that.
I think it's under appointments.
Yeah, it would be under appointments once they accept it.
Once they accept it.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
We talked about having like pending, like squares that have accepted, denied, pending.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for playing that game, dude. That was fun.
So
I want to get into some of your background too, because it's interesting space for us, which is you own a painting company.
Yeah.
With your brother?
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, we owned. It was called Precision Painting Company. We operated in Clarksville for, I did not get my numbers wrong, I think 6 years.
Is that a franchise?
No.
Okay.
I did see recently when I was driving through Nashville that somebody had a giant truck that said precision painting on
Yeah.
it. And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that?
I think we have them on.
Oh, cool.
It sounds so familiar.
It does.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's a good alliteration.
Yeah.
Precision
Oh,
painting.
yeah.
You know?
We might have like perfect painting or something
Yeah.
like that too.
But we started in Clarksville, and it was just us in 2016 painting together. We had a contract for a rental property company to do all their rental properties.
Nice.
And then I think in 2018 is when we actually turned it into just like us painting together to Precision Painting Company.
Nice.
And it was a good time. It was honestly a better experience than going to college. That's what I decided to do instead, just learn how to run a business. And it was a lot of fun. We got up to where we had, I think, 6 employees at a time, and we were doing both the rental company contracts. We had some realtors that we did their properties, and we were trying to get into doing new construction, which is kind of a whole beast all of it on its own. And in the beginning of 2020, my brother decided that he wanted to get into doing mortgages, which is what my mom does.
Okay.
And so he left, I took over completely, and I operated the company from 2020 to 2022. And it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I'm not passionate about being a painter.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the systems and processes once I had employees, we need to get this done. What's the most efficient way that I can divide these people and their skill sets to make that happen quickly and make it happen sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Make it happen well and just kind of efficiently and process it. I really enjoyed that. And so, I operated that until 2022, and I was just kind of looking to do something different. My whole young adult life, I'd owned a paint company and was just ready for something new and fresh. And I was actually, me and my wife were on a trip out west, and I'm driving through the desert, and I kept seeing these people, young people on their computers, living in their camper and in their vans and stuff. What do they do?
Yeah.
I can...
Because I want to do that.
Right, exactly. I don't want to have to call my foreman every morning while I'm on vacation. I just want to be able to do my job and then be on vacation still, And I don't know. And so with that, I was looking for a new job, and one of my friends, she suggested that I look into Nashville Software School, which is a software school. They're a nonprofit here in Nashville. She graduated from there, and she was a software engineer, and so I kind of didn't really have any computer I used my computer, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I didn't have a tech background at all, and kind of made a career move to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
And just decided all right, I'm going to do this instead now. I want to get into something new. Startups kind of always interested me. The idea of finding new solutions to meet the needs of a niche market was always interesting to me, and so I just wanted a new skill set, Yeah. And I started Nashville Software School, and man, was it awesome. I can't say enough good things about them and their curriculum. Their program is really cool. Their learning style is really cool. It's not traditional classes that you would get at a college or something like that. It's very hands-on. It's kind of self-driven, and you basically just build a lot of stuff.
Nice.
I learned a lot of functional programming skills, so that as opposed to coming out of college with a CS degree, instead of having a bunch of abstract knowledge, I had very functional programming skills to I could jump on a team and build you something
And start working.
Yeah, and
that's cool.
I had a blast there. Every week was being on a software team is how they set it up. So we followed the Scrum principles and had an agile sprint, and we just built and immediately software engineering was just super gratifying to my brain. It can all be connected in very logical order of steps from here to here, and if you can get your scope wide enough to understand that, you can A is gratifying to understand, but then B, you can utilize that system and modify it to fit your needs or do whatever you want.
Which explains why you like the processes and the systems in the painting company.
Right, exactly.
That's how your brain works.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So that skill is what kind of not only made you like it, but made you good at it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about Nashville Software School, because I think it's something more people need to be aware of. I didn't know it existed until we got into the tech industry 15, 16 months ago.
Yeah.
How long is it? What's the process to apply like? Do you need any prereqs? Just give us some details on that.
No, it's super easy to apply. They're a nonprofit. Everyone who works there is super cool. The application process is easy. They have a lot of different programs. So I did a 6-month full-time program focusing on React on the front end and Python on the back end. And so 5 days a week from 9 to 5, I was developing software. But They also have other programs suited to people who work or can't do a full-time thing where they do I think it's 3 nights a week for a few hours and then 1 Saturday every other Saturday or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Is that still 6 months or is that like a year long?
I think that one's a year long to compensate for doing it 3 nights a week.
Yep.
And they have tuition assistance that most of their students go in on an opportunity scholarship. And they're really cool. I think what kind of sets Nashville Software School apart is their amazing career services department. So not only do they teach you how to do what you need to do, they have an awesome career services department that's really plugged in the Nashville tech scene, and they're very supportive and very helpful in getting you into that first role, preparing you for tech interviews, giving you projects, helping you tweak your portfolio to be in such a way that companies that want to hire junior developers are ready to grab you. They know what people are looking for, and they really prepare you for what tech companies are actually looking for.
That's great. What have you found that tech companies are looking for right now? In your experience of trying to talk to them and find contracts, find jobs.
I think that's a tough question. It's really changed. I think when I was first getting out of school, I think I can more so speak on that. Getting out, I think when they were looking for a junior developer straight out of school, they're just looking for someone who is willing to work and willing to learn and be a part of a team.
Yep.
Because you kind of at least I did in school, you hit this pressure to learn to as much as you possibly can to be this crazy good coder, and I found that soft skills and your ability to be human and communicate and work on a team to find the best solution is more so what people are looking for than your ability to be a wicked wizard genius guy.
That's interesting.
I mean? I think that your ability to work on a team and produce value through team effort is a really big thing.
And that's probably a testament to you're more likely to stick around a lot longer.
Yeah.
If you have those skills.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're gonna have the basics or maybe more than basics is when it comes to coding and being able to do your job, but everything else is because hiring is so expensive, it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is do it over and over and over again every single month or quarter, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. When did you graduate from this school?
2022.
Nice. So you went right in from closing the business to starting that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you done any traveling and worked on the road out of your van?
Yeah, I did actually.
Nice.
Out of our camper. My last job for Lasso, I spent a month working 40 miles south of the Grand Canyon. We had this dope campsite, and I learned a lot about internet and how it works while we were out there, and it was super cool. You actually need way less internet to be a software engineer than I kind of would have thought.
Really?
Yeah. Upload speed is the most important thing because you're pushing, but out there in the desert, I had I think 200 megabits up and 89 megabits down, something really slow, but all my development was local to my computer, so really the only thing I needed to do was be able to push up for someone to review it, and that wasn't streaming or anything like that. So
how long you're in a current contract right now? What's that look like? How long is that?
It's not contracted till a certain date. They just as they need stuff done have been re-upping on that. So
nice.
I think I mentioned before that they're a nonprofit, so they're basically whenever they get a good grant, they have money to spend, they have work, and whenever they don't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it has been awesome for what it is. I kind of wanted to chill for a lot of this year.
Yeah.
After I left my last job at Lasso, which I guess I haven't gotten into that transition yet. Let me maybe rewind a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
After my paint company, after school, I started a job at a company called Lasso, and they're a startup based in Nashville. They're not an they're a mid-stage startup.
Okay.
I think they've got a couple hundred people, and they're pretty well established
Oh, yeah.
at the point that I joined their team. And that was also a ton of fun. I love a good challenge, and I love to learn, and so they had a lot of challenges and a lot of ample opportunity to learn within their system.
Cool.
Coming out of school, I wanted to get a job at a startup because a lot of people that I'd known that graduated started at big companies, like large established tech companies, didn't really do anything. There's like lots of training, lots of like, before any changes were made, there were like a lot of levels that things have to go through before you can actually do something, you know? And
cog in the wheel.
yeah, right. And I wanted to get in there, you know what I mean? And like work on to like make some deliverables, like kind of learn by doing.
Do your job, you know?
Yeah. And so that's what I did. I got on at Lasso. And that was awesome. They're an application they handle for event companies.
Okay.
They're like they're a platform that tries to be a solution for everything an event company needs for its operations.
Cool.
So everything from like scheduling events to crewing an event, and then they have like an inventory app and an invoicing app, a project management app, and a proposals application.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so it's a very big base, and that was a lot of fun.
Are they here in Nashville or were you remote?
Yeah, I was working remotely, but they're based out in Nashville. They have an office here in Nashville and one in Charleston.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And they're an awesome company. The work was really great.
How do we were talking.
Yeah, sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
No. Because then you. Oh shit! I totally lost it.
I was telling you about Nashville sites and how I took this year.
Yes.
This year. I took an easy contract for this whole year.
That's right. Yeah.
Basically, eventually, I worked like 60 hours a week for Lasso for like 11 months, and
yikes.
I finally had gotten all my applications like past where they were supposed to be with my teams. Like we launched everything, and I like hit this wall, and one of my best friends was like, "Hey, do you want to help me start a company?" I was like, yeah, you know, like I've got all this experience that I've like learned and like leveraged, like mounting up behind me now, but I've also like kind of hit this wall from like running at the problems at Lasso a little too hard. As a paint company owner, you get to just like work as hard as you possibly can. Eventually, it'll slow down, and that's like kind of not the case as a software engineer. And so I learned a lot of like nuance between work-life balance since then, because I had to. But at that point, I kind of hit a wall where I'd been like just running as hard as I could against all these problems at Lasso that I was solving. And so then I'd hit this wall, and my friend was like, "Hey, do you want to start a company?" And I was like, "Yes, I need to do something different. You know, like this sounds good." And I left on good terms. I like got my apps to launch and everything, you know, because that was important to me. You always want to see something you start come to fruition, actually, you know. And
what company did y'all start?
We started a hemp company here in town called Kindly Cannabis. And, well, there's two aspects to the company. It's kind of a convoluted story that I'll get into because I think it's interesting. The hemp business in Nashville had been, like, really kind of popping off for a while. And now the Tennessee state legislature just, like, passed some legislation that's saying how they planned on taxing it and regulating it. And so it seemed like this was a very early stage industry that was going to start booming in Tennessee, and he had the idea to get in on that. There wasn't anybody doing delivery. Like they have all these delivery services here in Nashville. There was nobody doing it in Clarksville, and there was nobody doing it in Knoxville. There was nobody doing it kind of in Jackson or in Memphis and these like smaller Tennessee cities. But in the biggest city, there are tons of people making lots of money and doing delivery services, and so. We had the idea that we wanted to start two kind of small businesses. One was Kindly, which was our delivery service. And then the other was Southern Smoke Cannabis. And that was like a brand that we were starting with the idea that we were going to try to get get our products into stores wholesale. And then Kindly was more of like an e-commerce local delivery business.
Right.
And that was a lot of fun. Again, systems and processes, figuring out the supply chain, figuring out all of what our brand, finalizing our brand identity, what market, like which consumers of the hemp market are we trying to hit with our product, and all of those things were a ton of fun to figure out. And then kind of as we had started those businesses and we were operating, I was trying to build out an application for Kindly to use for e-commerce, for like users to get on and order their products, but also for like delivery management systems, so that like you could see all your deliveries that were needed to go out today and the ones that needed to be mailed, and like just kind of a whole encompassing system. And I was trying like Shopify and Square. I went with Webflow at one point in Wix, like I didn't want to have to reinvent the wheel if I didn't have to,
Yeah, sure.
And I just like kept not being able to find a tool that worked the way I wanted it to. And I kept recognizing and talking to like other hemp companies or people who had e-commerce stores that sold hemp products. And because there's a big problem with regulation and like which websites will even let you sell hemp products on their website.
Right. Yep.
And so I continued to hear all the same problems and all of the same desires for a system that didn't exist. And so as a software engineer,
you're
I'm
like, yes, I'm
ding, like, okay, that sounds like I need to build something. And so I got super enthralled in building that, and we started writing proposals, and we kind of came around to that idea, like, man, I think we're kind of moving less from this small business that we're starting and more into this idea of starting like a tech company that provides a platform for people to use to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it became clear to me that that was more what I was interested in than even operating a small business. And so some tragedy struck in my business partner's life, and he kind of had to withdraw from everything. And so here I am with these 2 small businesses and this idea for a startup. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do?
Right, yeah.
And so I kind of reflected, and I was like, okay, this is the part that I like about this is the startup idea.
Yep.
And the thing that like really like gets me going, gets my mind working, and like me excited is this idea of building this product. And so at that point, I kind of decided that I was going to just kind of cut my losses and pivot on everything I was working on. And I decided that what I wanted was to get in ground level with a tech startup and work it and watch it come from bottom to fruition to like success, and maybe even do that once or twice, maybe 3 times as much as I can, just because like with the idea that I had for a tech startup, I feel like I could like taste it. Like it was like, such a good idea, you know what I mean? And so like, but I didn't have the capacity or the know-how with what to do with that.
Right.
And so now I'm trying to find a good team and surround myself with people who are trying to do that in their own lane and learn as much as I can.
Yep.
And
I think that is super common amongst software engineers. I think you hear the story of, my God, I have this idea. I know how to build it. I know it'll work.
Yeah.
But the problem is that a lot of them face is exactly what you're saying, is finding that team, because that is a huge part of it, but it's 25% of it.
Yeah.
And then everything else. You can have this killer product, killer thing, solving problems. If no one knows it exists, it's not going to work, right? So, like, to your point, that's so smart in finding a complementary co-founder that can be the money raiser, the quote-unquote sales, business development, while you're building the thing that's going to actually make it work. That way you don't have to focus on that stuff too. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Yeah,
kind of to a degree. I think that I decided to kind of put starting my own startup on the back burner and go like deeply apply myself and invest myself in someone else's, so that I can just like garnish that experience through like working on a team that someone else has started.
Absolutely. Dude, well, I mean, I'm sure next year we will be hiring many, many folks.
Cool.
So we'll definitely stay in contact there.
I love that.
Any advice you want to give before we sign off to any young entrepreneur right now who's like, man, I need to change and thinking about software, but they're kind of scared, like, I don't know the first thing about software. I don't know. I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. Any advice for that guy?
Yeah, just go for it. I think that having prior knowledge is like really useful and helpful, but I think the thing that like will get you there is just wanting to learn and wanting to do it, and like having the tenacity to push forward and push through things even though you don't know. Like oftentimes in my career I've been like knee deep in an application and I've really for the most part have no idea how this thing works, but I just keep pushing and I learn and I grab the pieces that I do know and I like take those and form those and do what I can with them. And I think just like having that mindset of like, okay, I don't know all of this, but whatever, these are the things I do know, I'm going to push forward with that.
Right.
I think that's like
and having the grit and determination to get through that time. And
grit and determination, I think is it. Especially with the state of the tech market right now, just grit and determination.
Yeah, figure it out. That's awesome, man. I admire what you're doing. I hope we get to work together in the future. Sounds like it'd be a killer fit for everybody. Thanks for giving our app a look.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, and let's stay in contact, dude. As we launch, we'd love to get you on or at least have you look at what we're doing and seeing if there's somewhere we can all work together.
Sweet, yeah, I would love that.
Awesome, Connor. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, man, you as well.
Thanks.